Thank you all for being here. We are going to get started, and hopefully we will have more people come and join us. So as you come in, please take a seat at a table that's already filling up so that you are not seated at a table by yourself. To everyone that came, thank you. I am Tanya Patton. I am the superintendent of Riverview Gardens School District. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge board members. So board members, if you will wave your hand so people will know we have board members. So thank you for coming. And then employees, whether you're central office or other places, raise your hand. Thank you all for being here. Let's give yourselves a round of applause since nobody, thank you. This presentation, this is the third time we've done it. We did it early in August. We did it late July, then early August, and we're doing it again. And our largest participation was when we did it virtually with almost 80 participants. So we were able to collect a lot of information during that time. So we appreciate those of you who came back and those of you who said, I'm so glad I'm here because I want to know this information. So the purpose of these meetings is to build a shared understanding of the reality of Riverview Gardens, where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. And so that's one of the reasons for these meetings, is to recognize and protect the progress we've made. I will share some information with you later on in the presentation that speaks to all of the progress that we've made, that we are very, 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 very times 10 proud of. We are proud of all of the progress that we've made. So we want to provide an understanding of the relationship between our academic investment and the recent gains and the finances that it took for us to get there. And then to engage the community in understanding these are some difficult financial trade-offs, and we have to consider what is our next step as we face a budget deficit. Now, I will say there are many districts that are facing a budget deficit. Riverview Gardens is not the only one. I could name many off the top of my head. I won't do that, but we are not the only ones. So many school districts are making very difficult decisions, especially after ESSER funding ended. And then to establish community priorities. So in other words, what is it that we should be focusing on? What does the community think is important as we move forward? So if you are coming in, if you were sit at a table where there are already people so that you are not by yourself, that would be helpful. Thank you all. So just to give some background, in 2024, we were notified that we had a $23 million deficit. We have the board, I have to say hats off to them. They accepted the recommendations made by administration, and with their support, we were able to reduce that $23 million deficit down to 14. We are predicting that it's down to at least 9 and possibly less than that. So we are closing the deficit that we found 2 years ago. The ending of ESSER funds, Riverview Gardens, as many school districts got money during the ESSER fund, during the pandemic, to help with the pandemic, just with learning loss, social emotional support for our students, as well as combating COVID, keeping it from spreading. So we don't have that funding anymore. We've also had, I joined Riverview Gardens in 2020. When I came, we had 5,400 students. We are slightly under 5,000, and so we've lost approximately 400 students in that time. When you talk about our attendance, we have a problem with our students attending school every day. And I say this almost every board meeting: parents, send your children to school. They need to be here so they can learn, so they can grow. Also, the school is funded by the attendance every day. So if we can have our students here every day, it helps us and it provides more funding for us. 90% of our students should be in attendance 90% of the time. And if we can have every student hit the 90, then we would be doing very well and could offer so much more to our students. And then the foundation formula, that is what the state gives us. It's always underfunded. It's supposed to be at 7,100. They are predicting that it will be about 6,800. We believe it'll be about 6,700. So when you look at that, we are getting about $400 less per child. If you take that $400 and multiply it by 5,000, that's a big hit to our budget. Transportation, the state reimburses us for transportation. They never reimburse us at 100%. So in other words, what we are spending on transportation for Riverview Gardens is never it's never reimbursed to us. We have a contract with First Student. It's approximately $2 million. We spend approximately another $2 million on transportation for our students in transition. That's $4 million, and it is never fully reimbursed. So we never get all of that money back. And then transportation, and then the rising cost of health insurance. We were able to change our health insurance this year. That saved Riverview Gardens about, Stephanie, it's about $1.3 million? $1.2 million because we were able to change it. The increase would have had us paying more for this school year than just last school year. So we were able to move it. We saved about $600,000. Where every little bit counts. $600,000 makes a difference, but we were heading toward an increase of over $1 million. So in front of you, let me make sure I didn't miss. Hold on. Okay. So in front of you, as I stated when I started, there was a $23 million deficit. In front of you, there is a half sheet of paper. And so what I want you to do at your table is talk amongst yourselves. If you had to make the decision on what to reduce with a $23 million deficit, you have limited time and you must reduce expenditures. Using the question sheet in front of you, please select the 3 that you would have selected for us to reduce, and then in about 5 minutes we'll come back together and talk about it. So you all should have a half sheet in front of you. Please fill that out. What would you have done? Where would you have looked? What other ideas would you have had? And then if you will talk amongst your table, and then we'll come back together in about 5 minutes, and we'll talk. We'll see what you chose. can come back together. And I'm interested, there's a microphone on the tables. I'd like you to share the 2 or 3 things that you selected, and then let's talk about why, and actually how hard those decisions were to make. So please look at it. I see people smiling like, I didn't want to make this decision. So you all know I'm not above coming over and giving you a microphone, right? So. Okay, Ms. Ross, you want to grab the microphone and talk about what you selected and why?
Okay, we didn't get through the whole thing, but since we kind of had consensus about transportation, we were thinking that we should consider consolidating some of the routes, or at least exploring the cost of that, because we are seeing buses not even half full. And so that was one of the things that we agreed as a table. We didn't get to explore everything else.
Okay, so that's the one thing you all just came up with. So as a district, legally, we have to provide transportation for students who live 3.5 miles or further. Legally.
So it's not about saying.
I understand. I know what you're saying. If we can consolidate them and bring them together, so we use fewer buses and have more students on the bus. Got it. Thank you. Dr. Coleman? Can you hold on? You need a microphone, Dr. Coleman.
I was going to use my teacher voice. I heard you say 3.5 miles.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that 1 mile?
Well, no. Legally, if the state of Missouri requires us to provide transportation for students who live 3.5 miles or further, we provide it for students who live 1 mile or further, but we don't legally have to do that. We can claim it and we get funding for it, and so we don't legally have to provide transportation if they live within within 3.5 miles, but we do it 1 mile or further. Yeah. Since you have that microphone in your hand, Dr. Coleman, what did you all talk about at your table?
First of all, we talked about reducing staffing, and we also got a chance to talk about closing and consolidating, and what a difficult decision that was, and how we started with the reduction in staff at the central office level, as opposed to starting at the classroom level. We realized that there were some areas that we were top-heavy, if you would, and so it was, let's add some more duties to Ms. Williams and to make up for the person that we had to lose in that area.
Right.
And then, of course, we talked about closing and consolidating the schools and making a choice based on the condition of the building, not just the number of students that attended in that area, and what would be most cost effective as far as repairing buildings and those things.
So I'm glad you said that. So there's a misconception that we did not cut at the district level. There are 9 less positions at the district level than there were 2 years ago. So I'm glad you said that, because I can say that because I think there's a perception that we haven't looked there. We absolutely have. But can you talk about what a difficult decision it was, if it was for you as a board member, to decide on a building, which building to close?
That was a difficult decision, because we know that that particular building was very popular. The neighborhood was popular, and the people in that community, it was one of our largest student populations. And so to make that cut, and then people were saying, hey, but this other building over here that you're talking about, they don't have the large student population. You're right, we did not have a large student population in that other building, but what we did have was a building that was in much better condition, because considering the building that was closed would cost, to bring it up to par, would cost over $5 million. Now the deal is, had we chosen to use capital funds and fix that building, repair that building, and build an elevator and all those things, because we could have done that, but a couple of years down the line, guess what? We still would have had to close a building because of the declining student population. That's a given. That's going to happen. We are losing students in our area. Our homeowners are not having children, and they're not moving. I'm one of them. I'm not moving because I can afford this house where I live. You know, why would I go and get something that's $2,000? I can afford that, but I can afford where I am, and I can still go on vacation. And that's the way a lot of our homeowners feel. The people in my neighborhood, there are a few children on my block, but I just talk to my neighbors and say, hey, I'm not moving because we can go on vacation. We get to do all these things because we're in a house that we can afford.
So we're going to hold you responsible. So if Dr. Conant would sell her house, we can get a 25-year-old in there and we can have more students. So, no, but it is a difficult decision, and it was a difficult decision. And the building that we decided to close, which was Danforth, the reason that building was selected is because it would have cost, it wasn't ADA accessible. There were 2.5, 3 floors. If you had difficulty with mobility, you couldn't get to the second floor. And then to make it ADA accessible, we would have to have added an elevator in it, as well as bring the asbestos. So, you know, all of our buildings, all old buildings have asbestos, and as long as you leave it alone, it'll leave you alone. But the minute you start tearing down walls, you start spreading the asbestos, it was just too dangerous. And so I made the recommendation to the board to close Danforth. The other reason is because Danforth had the lowest capacity. So it could only hold 280 students. It was an old Catholic building, and the cafeteria is large, the gym is large, the classrooms were small. And so it only held about 280 students. All of our other elementary buildings hold 450 or more. And so when you consider that, and then Dr. Coleman also shared about the losing of enrollment. We did a demographic study 2 years ago. It is predicted that this area will lose 800 to 1,000 students within the next 10 years. So between 2025 and 2035, we are projected to lose 800 to 1,000 students. Now, what I am noticing is our enrollment is a little higher than we anticipated. So I don't know if that's just a fluke, but there is a projection that we will lose about 1,000 students. So how many of you, let's talk to this table over here, how difficult was it for you to make the decision when you're looking at what you had to read? Thank you for picking up that microphone, ma'am, because I was going to call on you.
I was moving into.
Oh, I understand.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Alderwoman Brittany Alberti from the city of Belltown, Negress, and this was extremely difficult. I think we're also dealing with a deficit not as big as this, but my number one choice was to seek additional revenue. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur, so I think that's typically where we go. Number two was to go into a hiring freeze. And the last one was to use the fund balance, but I got a little education from my fellow Board of Education director over here about what that percentage needs to stay at, which is a little bit different in municipal government. So I learned why these decisions were important. But then on the flip side to that, my 24-year-old sister had a son that went to Danforth, and she just recently had another child. So I also understand that weight on younger families that aren't settled, that have retirement, their houses are almost paid off. Like my mother's was in Dalewood, has 5 years to pay off her house, and the kids across the street went to Riverview, but I went to Ferguson and Florissant. So I think there's just no real easy answer to these. It's going to be difficult, and the reality is that our communities have declined, and our school district also, is in revitalization. That's what
we are rebuilding.
That's it.
And I'm going to share that. We are rebuilding. Thank you for saying that, but you're absolutely right everywhere. I attended a couple Bellfountain meetings, and there is a deficit, right? There's a deficit everywhere, and so people are trying to figure out what to do. But these were difficult decisions to make, and I have to applaud the board for being willing to move on those decisions so that we could at least bring the $23 million deficit down to about 14 million, and it'll be less than that as well. So being able to cut 14 million over 2 years is phenomenal. And so we will continue to reduce it. We have implemented a hiring freeze. Many things on that's listed on this sheet are things that we have done and we need to continue to do. So one more table, I'd like to know what this table came up with. Were you bullied into it too, sir? You were supposed to control the table.
But I don't mind. We needed more time. It's one of those things where, you're given a limited amount of time just because we have that. But we went through about 6 things in the time we did have. I'm just going to try, and you all can correct me if I go too astray. Reduce staffing. So the way reduced staffing looks is more of a restructuring as opposed to just putting people on pink slips. And so freeze hiring. And I kind of brought up before about retention. And it's not more of the retention, it's more of people. I'm a teacher, so I know that you don't want more work. But when restructuring comes around, a lot of times it's going to be your job is going to be broader than what you might have originally thought it should be. And so because you have a heart for the school and the things going on, then you kind of bend a little bit, but you don't want your staff to break and say, this is it, I'm not doing this. So it's a balance. It's being sensitive to what people are going through.
Can you give more, just explain restructuring without giving people pink slips? Can you talk about that?
So restructuring would look more like,
For example, taking on additional roles, to support that admin with another, maybe with another department, where we're taking on those additional roles, and that's kind of what happened. Dr. Patton said that we lost 9 members of the central service team. That means central service team, we all added on additional roles, taking on additional departments that were once held by other people, so that we can, cover those responsibilities. So that would be.
But that also went along with having to release somebody.
Yes.
So that's why I asked you to speak to restructuring without releasing people, because for any company, organization, the largest the largest piece we budget is salary and benefits. And so if you're looking to reduce 23 million, you have to be able to, some of the jobs are, unfortunately, and those were not easy decisions for the board nor I to make, and Ms. Nave is absolutely right. There were 9 positions, Mr. Freeman, when we had a custodial supervisor and a facility supervisor. We don't have those positions. He's sitting right there, as well as the director. So there are 3 jobs that he's taken on. So you're absolutely right in what you said, but
I was going to say, even at the high school, there's less DSOs, at least from what I can notice. But the teachers are in the halls, they're monitoring, they're reducing behaviors in the classroom so that it doesn't, escalate. And then you have a restorative team, they come in, and so because everybody's cohesive and we have an idea of what we want to see, then if certain people aren't there, of course it's done, with kids' gloves, then you kind of pick it up and you really don't buck against it too much. But if it's, come down as a mandate, you have to do this, then you probably will get more resistance.
Right, and let me speak to, you said fewer DSOs. We actually have more DSOs than we had. When I came 2020, we had 23. We now have 30, and 10 of them are full-time. When I came, all 23 were part-time. What we did differently is now we have them at the elementary level, which they weren't at the elementary buildings before. So that's why it may seem at the high school, because all of them are not at the high school or the middle school. They're now also at the elementary level. All right, thank you all for participating. We are going to move on. That was great feedback. So I'm going to come stand next to this lady over here who said we were rebuilding. Is that what you said? Look, revitalizing. I want you to look at the screen because over the last 4 years, Riverview Gardens, and I couldn't update the top number. We have seen a 36-point gain in our APR over a 3-4-year period. We were at 117, we went to 128.5, 139, which was 1 point away from full accreditation points. Full accreditation points is 140. And this year, we will hit
Projected 153.
153. So if you look at that growth, we are revitalizing, and I'm so happy that you said that because we are. Ishmael does the climate and culture surveys. They are coming back. Our community is feeling more excited about our district, our students, the employees. So in spite of having a $23 million deficit and reducing that by $14 million, we are still improving our academics. And so that is a balancing act. If you look at our attendance is up about 20%. So we are revitalizing. That's going to be our new word of the day. When you look at we partnered with Solution Tree 3 or 4 years ago. Solution Tree worked with us as well at the district level and the building level, and everything has improved academically. We were able to add a curriculum coordinator because Ms. Ross was the district curriculum coordinator. Now we have 2 of them, and so she's not having to focus on all of it herself. And so we were able to really make a difference, and we paid for that with ESSER funding. So the ESSER funding really helped us. So all of the things that helped us, they seem to have pulled back. So because of the investment we made academically and social-emotionally, the gentleman over here talked about the restorative, the SEIAs. When our students returned to our campus, they were very emotional after being isolated for an entire year. Our students missed an entire year of school, and so they were at home. And so when they came back, we saw a lot of behaviors because of them being reacclimated to the community and missing, just not having the socialization. Socialization is very important. And so because of all the investment that this district made in our students, we have several schools that received the Promising Practices Awards. That was Moline, Gibson, Glasgow. All 3 of those schools received it. Glasgow received the Louis Award for the fastest academic growth in ELA. And then our graduation rate has improved the 4th and 5th grade years, as well as we have reduced suspensions. And then late last week, I got an email from SLU that acknowledged SLU being St. Louis University, the prime center that looks at the data, academic data within the St. Louis area. And the email said 8 of your schools scored high in ELA and math over the past 2 years. And so they sent certificates. They're going to have a celebration of that. So Riverview Gardens used the ESSER fundings very effectively to help move our students forward. And so I'm very proud of the work that we've done, and I cannot talk about it enough. So our finances, our deficit is down, our academics are up. Now I did talk about having the ESSER funding, so understand when you want to improve, that's investment. That takes dollars. It really does. I hate to say it, but it really does. And so you will see that our $23 million deficit is down by $14 million, and we've had a 37-point growth in that time in our APR. We're predicting. I will use Dr. Hunter's word. We have a prediction of it. We're going to hit it. So using the priority tokens, so you all have priority tokens in front of you. They look like this. So Mr. Freeman, I think you and Ms. King may have had something to do with that. But using your priority tokens, there are bags in front of you. These are some of the areas that we are focusing on. There are several bags on the stage in front of you. Using your tokens, come on up, take your tokens. And so you're going to drop your tokens in the bag that you think we should protect as we look to reduce more, as we look to really make a difference for our for our district. Bring your tokens up and please drop them in the bag. There are several bags on the stage. Each represents a priority for us. Place your tokens in the priority bag that you feel we should protect. And let me say this, if you already did this exercise at one of our previous meetings, please don't do it again because we are collecting this information. And you're gonna skew the data. Somebody say, can we put all 5 in one? If that's what you want to do, but look at all of the areas that we have to consider, that we have to think about. And you only have 5 tokens. Nope, I'm not giving you any more, Dr. Coleman. You do not get any more. That's not how life works. Thank you, Dr. Larry, for coming. All right. I'm interested to know what you chose. What do you think we should focus on protecting? Look at all of the choices you had. How many of you wanted more tokens? Yeah, your tokens represented dollars. We don't have the dollars to protect all of it. So what did you protect? And I want someone different at the table talking. Ma'am, you look right at me and smile. That means you want that microphone. Go ahead.
For me, attendance was a priority. Without the kids, without the attendance, then nothing else can happen. So I actually dropped 3 tokens in attendance. That was my #1 priority.
Okay, what were the other 2?
The other 2 in order was teacher recruitment. Gotta have the teachers, gotta recruit and retain. Have to retain them. And my 3rd one was college and career readiness, just because I believe in kids going on to college if that's what they want and need to prepare them. So those were my top 3.
So reading wasn't important to you?
I didn't say it wasn't important.
I know, I'm making a point though. So that is my point, is that these were our choices, and so we didn't have enough to focus on everything. So is reading important?
Reading is very important. Math is very important. I count that money. Math is very important. I'm a sports girl. I really believe extracurriculum sports is very important. Sports compound girl from high school, so that's very important. But I just had to.
So you didn't want. So you didn't. It's okay for us not to have sports?
No.
Okay. But that is my point. So thank you for helping me to make that point. It's such a hard decision when you have so many priorities, and I want our students to have what they have in other districts.
Yes.
but that takes funding, and so you're helping me make the point. I'm not bullying you like they did at that table, but yeah, but thank you for helping me make that point. What about this table? Come on. There we go. Thank you, Barry.
Yeah, voluntold. I too started with attendance. If we don't have seats here, we cannot focus on math, literacy, intervention, social, emotional. We can't focus on any of that. We can't provide the extracurriculars. None of that matters if you're not here. So I believe that is first and foremost. And then I did go straight to math, literacy, intervention, and college and career readiness. Not that the others are not important.
So sports weren't important, band wasn't important to you?
I was a music teacher. It's very, very important.
But you had to make
Yes.
difficult choices.
They are.
Yeah, they are difficult choices, okay. Ms. Tell us about what you all chose over there, Ms. Williams. This is Jarena Williams. She's the principal of the Lewis and Clark Elementary School.
Well, good evening. So, of course, everybody knows me. I have a daughter named London. So I thought about London. I said, well, London has to go to school. London has to read. London has to do math. London definitely got to go to college because she's going to take her because I'm going to be so old. And then she's going to need some emotional support. And I would hope that by that time, teachers want to be retained and be where they are. Before we go to this sports thing, I figured we're just gonna have to pay them to learn something. I did, well, my bonus is the sports. I did.
No, there were no bonuses, ma'am. There were no bonuses. Where is security? Yeah, but Ms. Williams, can you talk about how hard that was? Because you have a baby that is started kindergarten, getting ready to start her education. What? Go ahead.
Okay, it's hard because I had everything when I was growing up, but we're in a different time now. And so I want her to have all of the experiences or better, but at the same time, you kind of got to pick what's most important that's going to lead her around. Not saying like sports, that's something that you can turn into a passion or a career, but you still need to be able to read and do math and figure out what your career in college is going to look like. But you got to go to school.
So attendance is important. Okay.
And you need some emotional. So because I'm older, so she gonna need somebody to support her at school. Is how I was thinking. I'm keep saying that I'm older, so I need my baby to have those.
Thank you, Ms. But that's true. You have 5 tokens. All of those things are important. All of those things other students in other districts have. I want our students to have them as well. I often tell staff when I went to school, I didn't get up in the morning to go to school because I couldn't wait to get the algebra class. I did not. I played sports, and I knew that I had to have a big average. So I went to school so I can have a big average so I can play sports. If I didn't have a big average, I couldn't play sports. I probably could have had an A average if I had really applied myself, but I didn't go for academics. So I'm saying that to say there are many students who wake up in the morning and they come because they're in band. Our band has grown over the last 2 or 3 years. They come for sports. And so that's why all of those things are important. And so these are the decisions that we have to focus on. We have limited funding. And the next screen will give you more information about what that looks like. So this is where, hold on, let me make sure I didn't, okay, very good. So if you look at this screen, this tells you where our revenue is generated. So where does the majority of Riverview Gardens revenue come from? So the 2 biggest areas are state and local. So our state is 41%, our local is 40%. That's about 42% of the funding that we receive comes from local and state. We have about 16, 17% that comes from federal funding, and then the rest come from the county and then other local things. So, but that's just small in comparison. Riverview Gardens is largely funded by the taxes it receives from the residents, and then by our attendance, our ADA. So when you see the state, that's attendance. When you see local, that is the taxes. And so this is where we get 80%, more than 80% of the funding. Now let me show you what's happened with that funding. So let's talk about that. I talked about ESSER funding. We had that large investment of money. We used it. It is gone. There's a senior tax freeze that recently went into effect. That gets to the local piece. That was over $100,000 reduced, and it's going to continue because more and more seniors will sign up for it. And so this year is 100,000 plus, about 104, I believe, right, Stephanie? Yeah, about 104. And then it's just going to, because people are like, I understand if I can freeze my taxes, and that's what's happening. So about 100,000 we're losing from that. The next line talks about the $2.8 million divestment that the state has made in Riverview Gardens. A $2.8 million divestment. Now we get to the state part of that funding that I just talked about here. Now we're over here. So let's share with you what they did. 6 of our schools were removed from the turnaround and targeted list, which is a great accomplishment. That means those schools have shown academic growth. Because those 6 schools were removed from the list, Riverview Gardens lost, and Lakina Curtis can tell you this, approximately $800,000. That means they're not giving us that money anymore. So the very money they gave us to help us improve, the minute we improved, they pulled it back without us being able to sustain that growth. To me, give us 5 years of it and let us sustain that growth, build the foundation so that we can keep going, but they pulled it back. And then they helped us pay for Solution Tree. I talked about Solution Tree earlier. For the schools that were on the turnaround list, turnaround list, DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, gave $2 million directly to Solution Tree on behalf of Riverview Gardens. But when they took all of those schools off, they pulled the $2 million back. That's a $2.8 million divestment in the academic growth that we've been able to demonstrate over the last 3 years. So this is state again, okay, going on to underfunding of the foundation formula. I told you they never fully funded the foundation formula. They should be giving us $7,100 per student. They have over the years given us about $6,800, $6,700 per student. Again, they're predicting it to be 68. Stephanie and I think it'll be more like $6,700 per student. So you do the math on that. If we're not getting $400 per student times 5,000 students, that's about $2 million. And so I talked about the enrollment decline since I came in 2020. We lost about approximately 400 students. That's $2.7 million less than we're receiving. So this is how important it is that students are at school, and our attendance is up here too. We struggle academically. We struggle with our attendance.
But our students need to be here 90% of the time. 90% of the 90% of the time, we need them at school. It affects our funding. We leave about $2 million on the table each year because of student attendance. So I cannot lay on this. And for the parent that is thinking in their head or is saying, well, they just want the money. Well, we do. You're right. Because the money allows us to provide programs for your children. It allows us to increase our growth, our academic growth that we've been experiencing. So absolutely we want the money. But first we want to educate your babies. We want them educated so that they can go on and grow and be productive for themselves. So it's just not about us, but understand any organization operates with funding. And so they need to be at school. If you add all of this up, it's about $7.6 million that Riverview Gardens either has lost or will continue to lose over time. I just want everybody to feel that because That makes a difference when you talk about our academic growth. There are some other things that I'd like to share that are coming down the line that will also affect funding for our school district. Senate Bill 971 is the open enrollment bill that is being proposed and will probably pass. That allows students can enroll in different districts if that's what they want. So it's open enrollment. Students can apply to go to any school district within the state of Missouri if that's what they want, if the school accepts them. So just to put some money behind that so you'll understand, the first year 3% of the students in every district will be allowed to transfer if that school district accepts them. If 3% of the 5,000 leave, that's another $1 million reduction. If we reach the 3% in the first year, it moves to 5%. So the following year, year 2, 5% of our students can leave if that's what they want. That's 248 more students. That's another $1.7 million reduction in funding. And then if we hit 5% in year 2, the third year and every year after that, 10% of the student population can apply to go to other schools. That's going to be another in year 3, that's another $3.3 million reduction. So this is what is happening. This is what is on the table. Now I did say they have to apply. So what do you think? If you have to apply to those districts, they're going to start picking off our top performing students and our athletes. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because they don't have to accept the student. And so more reduction to our funding. And again, wherever the student goes, the money goes with them. So if we're getting $6,700 per student and Jennifer decides she's going to go to, I won't even say a school district, school district A, that $6,700 goes where she goes. But nothing changes for us. And when I say nothing changes for us, we still have the buildings to operate. We still have the transportation routes. We still have the administrative costs. We still have to pay utilities. We still have to pay. So let's say for Lewis and Clark, if in year 1, there were 3% students left that building and applied to a different school district, let's say there were 10 students in that neighborhood and 3 of them decide that they're going to go to a different school district. We still have to provide transportation for the 7 kids that's in that neighborhood. So we still have to run those buses. So this could be devastating to our bottom line, and that is coming forward. Probably next school year. This has already passed, the A through F report card. The A through F report card says students can enroll, can apply to other school districts that have a higher grade than their home school district. So they're going to apply a letter grade to every school district in Missouri. Right now, Riverview would be a C. If they were to give us a grade today, we would be a C. If any parent or any student decided, no, I want to go to a district that has an A or a B, they can apply to that district. And if they're accepted, again, their money goes with them, but we still have the same overhead, same building expense, operating expense. So these are the things that are coming down. The A through F report card is due to go into effect this school year, actually. And if this occurs along with open enrollment, that can be devastating to a school district like Riverview Gardens, but I'll be very transparent. It will be devastating to a lot of school districts that serve predominantly African American students. Not just Riverview Gardens, but it will affect us. So I wanted to share that as well. Now this is the final activity that we have. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Lane, do you have a microphone?
Thank you. Superintendent, I just want to emphasize what you just said, because it was a lot. You know I'm literal. I heard you say, they say we just want the money. We don't just want the money. We need the money. There's a difference between a want and a need. We need the money. Okay? So, you said, and I stand on that. This is what you said. We need the money. And I will go out on a limb and say other folk want the money. If there's money, education is a business, and folk are beginning to recognize that. It's always been a business. We just never really embraced that reality. And now we need to, as you stated, other districts in North County, and we're talking about North County now. All of us are kind of in the same financial situation. There may be one or two that have maybe 15 cents extra spending change, but nobody is rich. And as your school district goes, so does your neighborhood. If we lose our district, or our district is reconfigured, or any other adjective I could use that I won't, because we don't know yet. But that's a possibility because all of us are being affected. Right now, there's one district that is pretty much under the gun. And if you're paying attention, social media, regular media, you already know it'll be a ripple effect. So we can't allow this information not to be disseminated in our community. We have to know, and yes ma'am, we have to know what's going on. The last thing you said, can you go back to that? Okay, oh, the A through F, yes ma'am. We don't have any elite schools in our area. Flat out, we just don't. However, you said they could go to another district. That could be anywhere. They can apply. Okay, you're right. You said that. Where they can apply. Although the student does not necessarily have to be accepted. No. Again, we're vulnerable. And I just wish we could get this message out to everybody and all of our communities, because it affects all of our communities. So, isn't this being recorded?
It is. It's being streamed live on YouTube.
Okay. So please share with your family and your friends.
And I also, let me add to what Ms. Lane said. How the community goes, so goes property value. How the school district goes, how the school district goes property value, and vice versa. We feed each other. An effective school district breeds an effective community breeds an effective school district. So we have to, our community has to be involved. That's why I wish this room were full, because your voice needs to be here in letting us know what our priorities are, where you would like us to focus. So we want an effective school district, and again, I am proud of the work that we are doing. We have grown 37 APR points in a 4-year period. That I just can't stress how proud I am and how much work went into that. And I don't take credit. It is everybody else who's doing the work at the building level, at the centrist office level. It is all of it. It's building communities that students want to walk into. If I walk into a school, I want to be greeted. Hey, that makes me feel well.
And so this is a collective effort on our behalf. It's not just the school district's responsibility. It's not just the community's responsibility. We both have a stake in each other. Each of those entities have a stake in each other. Yes, ma'am.
So I want to touch on the Senate Bill 971.
Mm-hmm.
If I understand it correctly, has it passed yet?
No.
It's gonna go up for both.
It probably will pass, yes.
All right, you think it'll pass, you said?
Yes, ma'am, they have enough support for it, yes.
So if that happens, and if these children are able to go to other districts, we lose that money per student, and those districts will gain the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Be in bad shape.
Yep, they will gain the money. So the money that we would get, that should be $7,100, but it's $6,700, $6,800, goes to wherever that student decides they want to go. Yep, and each year, if we reach the threshold of 3%, it goes to 5%. If we reach that threshold, it goes to 10%, and then every year after that, it is 10%. So what happens is the money goes with them, right? That means we don't have the money to fully take care of our district. We will have to start closing schools. Facilities will start to deteriorate because we don't have the money. We will, bus transportation will have to be eliminated. So the domino effect is, yes, great, student A win, but we still got to take care of the students that are here. And the money that goes will not allow us to effectively do that. You all have to understand, and when I say you, I mean our community has to understand the domino effect of that. Yes, my baby gets to go to whatever. Well, I can tell you this, when Riverview Gardens lost its accreditation a number of years ago, we are provisionally accredited, moving to fully accreditation. A lot of our students transferred, and they sent them right back to us. And a lot of our students, a lot of the parents felt they don't love those kids the way they were loved here. And so it makes a difference. It just makes a difference. Somebody picked up the microphone over there. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, there are some parents and students that prefer being here.
Absolutely.
They can apply, but a lot of times we can be the preference. We can be the people that other districts lose their students to.
Absolutely.
And so the whole thing is not to always, well, I shouldn't say always, but to know that we offer something that is kind of quiet and is only in this community, but we
Absolutely.
We circle the wagons and we're going to be well. We're going to do well. And I was going to ask about the correlation between the increase we had in attendance and our growth academically. Do they
Absolutely. If students are here, they absorb the information, and then as they are being assessed, they perform well. So absolutely, their attendance, the 20% attendance increase, along with was work on the students being here, but we also had to make sure our system was calculating correctly. I'll just use that, and then it was our students being present. Absolutely. Being present matters. They learn. They can't learn from home. They can learn at school.
I think that's one thing that we harp on in school and as a teacher is that if you're not here, you're not learning it. And so then when I want to know what you can't show me what you know because you haven't been here. And so I think that a lot of times parents may not see that as connected, but it is absolutely like that. And if you can't learn something that you're not there to learn.
I appreciate you saying that. I also appreciate you saying we have something to offer. Riverview Gardens has a lot to offer, and we will get students as well, especially with the increase that we've been seeing. And oftentimes parents who have moved and their students had to go to a different district, they will come back or call back. Even employees say, can we come back? Right, because we do offer something that people want. So thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that. Our last activity is there are 5 change stickers. You have a sheet of stickers in front of you. There are financial strategies right over here on the wall that I would like. It's on the notebook paper over here. There are about 7 of them. Using your stickers, please place one on each of the strategies or actions you believe the district should consider as we move forward making financial decisions. So over there on the wall, you will see there are 7 tablets of paper. Please take your stickers and put them on the tablet that you think we need to focus on. You can do that now. You don't have to wait. Look, everybody's waiting. If you did this at one of our previous meetings, please don't do it again. You're going to skew the data.
Does the virtual one have?
Does the what?
The virtual meeting that we had, does it?
Did you answer the
the
question?
survey.
Yeah, that counts. Yeah. I'll also say if you did the survey during the last meeting, don't do this because it's the same thing. Don't skew our data. Who? Miss Tinsworth? Miss Tinsworth, see, you got to keep an eye on you. I see that right now. You trying to give your stickers? He got 5 stickers, ma'am. No. We got, what you throwing them away for? Keep your eye. Where is security? Where?
They don't have security.
We have security.
They all fire.
No, security's sitting right there. Get your auntie, Barry. Okay. Barry, get your auntie.
I thought this would be the perfect time to break down some of these things. Is this your
What does it mean when there are Christmas lights on?
Oh, the battery is low.
Yeah, I can get, this is our last. Mr. Freeman. He's such a troublemaker.
man bad?
Yeah, oh, he's always.
Yes, sir. I'll break down in the morning. Oh, I got all this tabulation I got to do in the morning. This is going to be my little brainless work.
I'm gonna call her when I'm done. Apparently, she wants to take care of you.
Grab his bags off the stand.
I'm sorry.
Just fold them, get a hold of the tabs at the bottom. The tokens.
1 more minute. 1 minute.
I know. Some dogs that got let out twice. Sat down.
So I'm gonna step out to see what that principal wants.
Show Nave that. Show Nave that. Tell her what you said. Miss Nave. All right. Miss Tisworth, do I need to get security? Well, what we need to do here? Just, you know what. All right, so I asked you all, you had 5 change stickers. The question was, what do you want the district to focus on as we move forward? With the amount of money that the district will be losing, we have to make decisions about what we do to bring in funding. Miss Demetra King, can you grab a microphone and just talk about what you see over there? Can somebody get? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You have to. That's why I had to get security on Miss Tisworth so that you could do that part.
Good evening. It appears visually that the most choices was seek grants and partnership. And then second, increase local revenue, reduce additional administrative costs, reduce transportation costs, then remove non-classroom spending, and last was consolidate schools. And it was one not have any dots, which was reduce program, sports, band, tutoring, after school clubs.
No one selected that one?
No ma'am, not a dot at all. Man, white here.
All right, I'm interested to know, Dr. Larry, I see your hand here. I'm going to hand you this one. Did you make a choice and then talk about it?
Actually, I wanted to throw somebody else under the bus.
Okay.
And that was Ms. Ross, because she mentioned something that I think everybody should hear. It was a good suggestion.
Okay.
Yes, please, absolutely.
Come on, Miss Ross. You can't say things on the sidelines. You know better.
So, I didn't put a sticker under reduce the programs and sports and extracurricular. However, I do believe they can be consolidated. And what I mean by that is, if you take our elementary schools and you look at the various activities that are in the schools, can we combine schools for that activity? And then that would reduce the cost.
Okay. I love that idea. All right. Okay, others. Someone who hasn't spoken. Ma'am, you haven't said a word and you spent the most time over there and she's not looking at me on purpose. Do you want to talk about what you selected and why? Here you go.
I selected, I can't even see that far. Those 2 on the end.
The 2 on the end, which are what, Demetra?
Seek grants, partnership, increase local revenue.
Okay.
Yep.
One that, on the end over there, what's that? Right there.
This one, reduce transportation costs.
No, I didn't put that included that one.
reduce additional administrative costs?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to talk about why, when you, on the last one is increase local revenue. That would be a tax levy increase that we would bring to the community. That would be the only way that we could increase revenue that way. We are also working with, and Ishmael and I have been working, we reestablished the Riverview Gardens Foundation that will allow organizations to make donations and endowments that could keep feeding our schools. So we are doing that as well. So thank you for saying that. No one wanted the sports programs, nothing, huh? What's number 2, Demetra King?
Number 2 would be consolidate schools.
No, the second one. What's the second?
Biggest one?
No, right there. Stop. What's that one?
Oh, reduce additional administrative costs.
Okay, so reduce additional administrative costs. That means people. That means continue to reduce people, and we are looking at additional reductions as we move forward. So what's going to happen is, first of all, thank you all for participating. These were hard decisions that the board had to decide on. So understand that when you're facing that kind of deficit, you have to make decisions, and they are not easy decisions, and they affect people. And so I appreciate everyone who came and giving us your feedback. So our plan is, these were the things that were up there: continue reducing administrative costs. We are doing that. Consolidate facilities. I see certain people chose that one as well. Reduce our transportation. I think Ms. Ross talked about, she's seeing buses that may have 4 kids on them. We can put more students on that. Look at our transportation routes. Reduce programs. No one chose that. And then non-classroom spending, we are already redoing that. Supplies, facilities, all of that. So we will continue. The 2 biggest things we're going to focus on is increasing local revenue, as well as seeking grants and working with organizations such as Worldwide Technologies, Boeing, major organizations that will make an endowment. An endowment we get annually. So if we get one organization to say, and let me say this, we are putting the letter that we have put together talks about the growth that we've seen over the last 3 years. I need to go back to it and put the projected 37-point growth. Thank you, Dr. Hunter, because everybody wants to be a part of a winner. And when they see that we're doing well, they are more likely to be willing to give those donations and those endowments. So that will be our major areas of focus, but we will look at all of it. We've had 3 meetings, and we did a Ramley survey. You all should have gotten the Ramley survey as well. It was emailed several times. It was on our social media. What we will do is take all of this information over the 3 meetings as well as the survey, and we will present the information at the board meeting on September the 8th. And that'll just collect all of that information. We'll collate it, and then we'll share with the community what we're going to do next. So your feedback is important. I appreciate everyone being here. Ishmael, are there any questions as we are live? Can you get a microphone, Ishmael?
There was one question, I'm answering it in the chat. The question was related to how Danforth was selected as the building that was closed. And what I shared was that we conducted a demographic study. We conducted several meetings that the community were invited to, and surveyed all the district stakeholders about the process of what we should do next. And part of the reason, which you and Ms. Lane mentioned earlier, that Danforth was chosen, it had the smallest capacity despite being a fairly large building, and it had an extensive repair cost due to it not being ADA accessible. And so that's the information I shared, but if you would like to add some more to that question, I'm sure the asker would be great.
So the only thing that I would add is we also did a utilization study of our buildings to see how our buildings were being used, and none of our buildings were being used to full capacity. Again, Ishmael just reiterated why Danforth was selected, and they were selected because they have the smallest student capacity. Well, I'm sorry, smallest capacity for students at 280. All of our other elementary buildings are 450 or more. And so the ADA accessibility, Danforth has 2.5 levels, it feels like, and it would have cost a fortune to add an elevator to the building for a building that only has the capacity of 280, when all of our other buildings, elementary buildings, have a capacity of 450 or more. I think Moline is the highest, and I believe that's 650, Mr. Freeman? Moline is at 650? Yeah, 650. So that answers the question. Does anybody have any closing comments or questions in the room? Okay, I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you for your time. On the next screen, if you haven't taken the Ramley survey, we ask that you take that. There are different questions in that. So if you haven't taken it, you can use your phone to do the QR code and complete that. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
You can play some music. Because I'm a music person too, Tim.
You know I am.
I know, I'm a music person too. Let me hand you those. Thank you. Hey, Miss Ross.
Think about taking the message to the kids.